Hi guys, I'm Katie Tam, and today I'm going to talk to you about freezer breakfast meals and how to prep those. I'm going to go over the importance of breakfast. During this presentation, I have a couple videos to show you for the cooking demonstration portion, and then I will go over some additional tips and ideas for freezer breakfast. So the first question that I wanted you guys to think about is, do you skip breakfast? I would say majority of the people that I talk to during coaching, a lot of you guys do skip breakfast. There is a stat out there that says about 25% of Americans skip it. And there's a variety of reasons that people do that. I obviously have them listed here on this slide. Most of the time, it's because there's just not enough time in the morning for us to get something. A lot of us are usually rushing out the door. The other one is people aren't necessarily hungry in the morning, so they don't want to make themselves sick by eating a bigger breakfast. The other ones that I hear are reducing calories. So this one, there is a little bit of truth to this as far as if you don't eat breakfast, there's a tendency to not eat as many calories throughout the day. However, there is research that shows that people that do this tend to have a higher BMI anyway because they're eating foods that may be a little more carb heavy. And when I say carb heavy, I mean like simple carbs instead of complex carbs that have a lot of fiber in them. Or they're eating things with added sugar, saturated fat, things like that. The other one that I hear a lot is intermittent fasting. So the only thing I will say about this is that while there has been some studies, there's not enough conclusive evidence to really show that this is an effective way to lose weight or hit certain like health or reducing certain health risks. I know some people do have some success with it, but in simple terms, it still kind of comes down to how much you might be eating. So I do hear sometimes people will talk about, I'm trying intermittent fasting, but I'm not really losing any weight. And that's usually because you're still intaking quite a few calories during that time that you're not fasting. And then the last one here that I've heard a couple times recently is that people are more hungry if they eat breakfast throughout the day, or if they eat breakfast, they're more hungry throughout the day. And this is kind of a two-part thing. So it could be that your breakfast is not very balanced. So maybe you're eating more carbs, maybe not enough protein, not enough fiber. And pairing that with when you wake up in the morning, your cortisol levels are higher. And when your cortisol levels are high, your insulin is higher. And that would be like blood sugar. So when your blood sugar is a little bit higher and then you eat a carb heavy breakfast, it's going to shoot your blood sugar up and then you'll ultimately crash. And that's what accounts for some of that hunger. So it could be, if you're finding this is one of the reasons why you skip breakfast, it could be that your meal is not very balanced in the morning. So that's something you could take a look at. So why is breakfast important? We hear all the time about how it's the most important meal of the day. And there's a few reasons why. It is an easy way to get some key nutrients in or food groups into our diet. So maybe you've taken a look at what you eat throughout the day and you're realizing you're not getting enough protein. That's a huge one for a lot of people. Maybe you're not getting enough fruits or vegetables. Maybe you're lacking in things like vitamin D or calcium. Maybe you're not getting enough fiber. So this is an easy way to get some of those nutrients in throughout the day. If you're diabetic, it's especially important for you to eat throughout the day and eat regularly because it's going to help keep your blood sugar stable. When we have low blood sugar all the time, or we have those constant ups and downs, it's going to make you feel irritable, maybe lightheaded. Maybe you're going to have problems with memory, some confusion. If you're constantly going up and down as well, or you have a blood sugar that spikes and then crashes, you're going to reach for things that tend to be a little more like readily available as far as energy goes. So that would be simple carbs, essentially. And then I kind of got into, if you are having a lot of spikes, you can have issues with memory, paying attention. So if you are eating regularly and eating, throughout the day, it will help with those types of issues. And then skipping breakfast can put you at a higher risk for heart disease. So there are some studies out there that show people who have or who are skipping breakfast often tend to have more plaque buildup. The one thing with these types of studies, though, is they don't necessarily know if it's because people, because of skipping breakfast, or if it's because typically people who skip breakfast may be reaching for those foods that are not the greatest for you throughout the day. So there is that when it comes to that type of study. And then there's also some mixed research on the effect of breakfast on weight management. So there is evidence that shows people who eat breakfast regularly tend to have a lower BMI, but again, it's one of those things where they're not really sure if it's because of the fact that they're eating breakfast or if it's because they just have good habits or a good routine or a good structure in place. But it does, there is research that shows that they are lower with their BMI. So those are some reasons why breakfast is important. Maybe not necessarily for the weight management perspective that we all think, but just in general, keeping blood sugar stable, getting nutrients and food groups into our diet, and helping us feel a little bit better throughout the day. So why make freezer meals or make ahead freezer meals? And really, time, money, you can control the nutrition that's going into it. The one that I'm going to talk to you about today is like a McMuffin, essentially. So, instead of going to McDonald's and buying one every single day, you could make your own and save some money there. Instead of making something every single morning, you could take some time to meal prep it all at once. I think it took me, when I did it, it took me about just over an hour. So you can take an hour one day and make, essentially a breakfast for the next. I made 12 sandwiches. You wouldn't necessarily have to do that. So, I made 12 sandwiches that I could put in the freezer. So for the cooking demonstration, I'm going to put this link on the portal for you guys to view. I tried to get it to play from the demonstration here, but I can't get it to work. So I'll tell you a little bit about the preparation method, and then you can view it on the portal at a different time on YouTube. So essentially, I did 2 different recipes. So this first recipe is simply just eggs, cheese, ham, and the muffins. The second one on the next slide is a little more fancy. It's got spinach, it's got sausage, it's got onion, garlic, sun-dried tomatoes. So they both follow the same type of method though. So you bake the eggs, you have whatever ingredients you want in there. You take the eggs out, let them cool, then you can assemble your sandwiches essentially. This video though is much more comprehensive as far as explaining how to go about that process, and then she explains how to freeze and how to reheat. So very simple. It's about 6 minutes long. I highly encourage you to watch this video because it is the way that I went about doing the cooking demonstration. And then this one, there is an actual video in the website, but I could not get it to play on here once again. So if you go to their website, you will see the video at the very bottom, but it's only about a minute long and there's no talking in it. They just put words up on the screen on what they did. Again, it's very simple. You just put your ingredients, you bake them, and then to assemble the sandwiches, you do pretty much the same thing, and you can follow the same type of freeze and reheat instructions in the first video. So I will put this link as well as the other one on the portal for you to view after you watch this presentation here. And then to freeze, so like I said, in that other video, the very first one, she talks about how to freeze them. Both of them will talk about it in writing on their website, so you can read over this too, but it's really easy. You would just want to wrap it in plastic wrap, and you can also wrap in foil if you would like to. I don't really wrap them in foil. I just do the plastic wrap and put it in a freezer bag, or like a gallon freezer bag, because I know we're going to be eating them fairly quickly. If you like to have that double layer, that's fine too. She actually mentions in the very first video, if you just do it in tin foil, you can actually take it camping and doing it over a campfire. So they are good up to 3 months in the freezer. Then to reheat them, you can see here, you can do it from frozen, from thawed, in the oven. We even talked about in the actual in-person presentation that I did doing it in the air fryer. I imagine that would be really good too, but very easy. You can see really the only difference from frozen to thawed is just the amount of time that you're doing it in the microwave. Some additional freezer meal prep tips if you have the space. I always highly encourage doing some of these meal prep tips and having these things on hand. So freezing any foods that you have that may be about to go bad. Bananas, blueberries, onions, peppers, you can do pretty much whatever you want. A lot of times I'll just take these things, chop them up, and put them in the freezer so when I go to prepare something, I can just pull them out and throw them in the pan. Some people will buy bread in bulk, or you could do the muffins in bulk. I've done pretty much whatever, like croissants. I've put them in the freezer in those gallon Ziploc bags. You can even do bread in the bag that it comes in. You could just throw it in there. You could do double or triple batches of whatever you make, whether it's breakfast, lunch, dinner, and you can freeze the leftovers. This is a big one. Store what you will use and use what you have. In the very beginning, when I started to freeze things, I would freeze literally everything, and I didn't use everything. I was trying really hard to I just didn't want to be wasteful. So I've gotten a lot better at honing in on what we'll actually use and shopping my freezer first before I put together like a grocery list. Put an eat by date on food and seal your food tightly just so it doesn't get freezer burnt or go bad. Any equipment that will help you. I use a lot of freezer bags. You could do glass jars. Again, this might be something where if you don't have the space, it may not be worth your time doing. Ice cube trays, super cubes. The super cubes are like a silicone tray. Makes it easier to pop stuff out that you have frozen. So, some equipment is not too bad. And then store like foods together. So like if you look at my freezer, I try to have my fruits and vegetables on one side, my meat in another. Certain things that I know I need to use, I'll try to put those on top. So that way it can be somewhat organized and you know where it is. And then some additional freezer breakfast ideas. So you can pretty much do anything when it comes to putting stuff in the freezer, just making sure you store it properly so it doesn't get freezer burnt. So sandwiches, burritos, wraps, you could do Greek yogurt muffins, protein waffles or pancakes. That's kind of another big one I've been doing a lot of lately. Breakfast casseroles, smoothies. The website down there at the bottom is a great place to start. That's where some of these ideas came from, so it's a great resource. And then just additional breakfast ideas, since we know it's important to get that in. Not everyone has the space in a freezer or wants to take the time to meal prep ahead of time. So just some other ideas here of balanced breakfast ideas. A lot of them are going to have some type of fruit or a vegetable, a whole grain, and some protein. So that's what you'll see on these here. And if you guys have any questions or comments, just let me know. Feel free to reach out. My extension's 5907, or you can email me at ktam@logansportmemorial.org. Thank you.